Hello, people. Hello, everybody. I'm still with this sort of makeshift mic setup. I think it worked out all right, though. I'm not gonna freak too much out about it. Okay, so side note, I don't know what video I said it in, but that I had my streak broke in Kindle. Well, I guess I forgot to upload. I forgot to update one of them. I forget which one. I think it's this one. Didn't update right. So when it did update, boom, streak still going. Oh snap! Ugh, kind of happy about it. Okay, back to this week's book. This week's book was Dubliners by James Joyce. I typed in Amazon Classics because they do sort of all of the classics, right? Which are, I think for the most part, in the public domain. So I think if you worked a little, you could find a free version of this book. I know I found a bunch of free versions of these old books, but Amazon did a series where they grab them and write them up for themselves. I guess you could buy the Amazon Classic version. I think it's like $1. I don't know. I wouldn't buy this book, but hold on. It's James Joyce. I got it because it was a classic. I know nothing about it. I also know nothing about James Joyce, although this name sounded familiar. I couldn't place it that I'm like, oh, I need to read a James Joyce book. It wasn't anything like this. I just sort of grabbed it. It's really good. This one was really, really good. I give it a 4 out of 5. I can't suggest it to casuals. Casuals, I don't think will like this book. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. But us readers, us people who like to read, it's not long. So if you are in between something else, right, or like your book is your series, you got to wait a couple of months or something before the next one comes out in your series, or you're not sure if you want to go to more sci-fi or back to fantasy. This kind of situation. There's a little pocket book you can slide in there, read real quick, and enjoy yourself. So 4 out of 5. Not for noobs, for us readers. Now we get to sort of why. This is 1,000% slice of life. And that just means literally what it says. It's just a slice of life. We don't have any overarching theme, no backdrop of a war, no impending doom. This isn't a happy year before the plague. Nothing. Nothing like that whatsoever. Almost not even a hint of it. Right? In no way is there some grander goings on. Everything is right down to the persons. And I say persons because it's like 10, 12 little vignettes, right? So it's each chapter will be focused on a different person, and it just goes in. It just goes in on their lives. And so as I was reading it, on the one hand, I have the channel now, so I think, well, how am I even going to talk about this? And so I'm just going to bring up why I liked it. Because like I said, nothing's happening. There's nothing I can go, like so and so went down to the laundromat, and now you're as bored as as the rest of us, right? Well, who cares about the laundromat? No one cares. But if you read the story, you kind of care. In a weird sense, right? Like if you read fantasy or science fiction, this has the some of the fun of those is the world building, right? I see how the ships work. I see how the magic works. Well, the same sort of itch in your reader brain that scratches will be scratched here, but by, I guess I would say, the culture, the area, I've never been to Dublin. I've never been to Ireland, right? Never been to England. But somehow these stories are like I'm sitting in a cafe or off to the side in these people's houses. I feel the it's like I can feel the cobblestones under my feet, right? I'm in their house. I feel the warmth of their fire. I'm eating what they eat. You just you're what is it? You're the fly on the wall, just watching these lives happen, and it's presented in such a way that makes it extremely enjoyable. You don't know what's going to happen in the next chapter. Some good, some bad. Some people die, and you move through it, and it's really fun. We start. I'm going to give you some examples. I don't know if I'm going to go through every one of them. What's funny though is how much they stick in your head. Chapter 1, the sisters. Each of them has sort of a name. And like I said, the way he says it. We have dialogue. Great dialogue, quick. We also have our narrator giving us their inner thoughts. Not so much an inner monologue as inner thoughts. And then of course the narrator, because it's not first person per se, can move about and tell us other things. But that's sort of the that's sort of what propels us, right? So it's what they say and then hear in their head. So, like this one, a priest dies, Father Flynn, and we're from a boy, a young boy. We don't even get his name, I don't think. It's a young boy who liked Father Flynn. They were friendly, taught him things, and it's these two ladies talking about it, like I guess gossiping, like you would do in town. And there's a moment where they say he's dead, and then it impacts the kid inside. But then he says he keeps his face stoic, right? Like he didn't want to, he just eats his food like it didn't bother him. But it does bother him, right? And we get this a few times where the inner reaction isn't the outer reaction, which is natural. Humans do this all the time. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. Instead, I said, I told you so. And the day went different because of it. But that's what happened. No, don't know why I said it. But this is what happened. Right? And so we're following this kid as he's dealing with what these people are saying about Father Flynn. They're saying some sort of sideways things about him. And the kid's not happy about it. There's a part where he is like, he didn't want to go up into the room. Right? It's just these natural moments. There's a story about Evelyn. Again, a separate chapter. We just, and somehow I wonder, like I was thinking back, like, why is it I'm so drawn in so quickly? And I think a lot of times it's dialogue. He gives me some quick dialogue, and in your brain, I guess you could grab onto dialogue well. And then after that dialogue, inner thought. So I latch onto the two real quick, and then I'm in the flow of their lives, actually. And then it ends on a moment, a day, a night, whatever. And then the next one just picks up. The same way. You feel yourself in town. And that's happening over there. And this is happening to this kid. And then that building is happening to these people. Like, you're just getting the sense of all of this town around you. It's really it's really an interesting world building kind of slice of life book. By world building, I mean Dublin. In the sort of 1800s. I can't say Dublin's this way now, obviously. We get the story of Evelyn. Evelyn, a young lady who's like thinking of running off with a sailor to Buenos Aires. And I'm like, that's kind of it's a wild trip. In my head, that's what I was thinking. She obviously is going on the back and forth. Because you never, no one ever is untethered, right? She knows she helps her father. She helps the younger kids. A lot of these situations young women often find themselves in as like a mom dies and they're the makeshift mom, so to speak. But then on the other hand, she has her own dreams, and then she sees this sailor as her way out. But it's a back and forth, right? It's a back and forth as to whether she's gonna let go of these responsibilities, this less enjoyable a life, the risk of the unknown, this sailor who knows what could happen. It's very dramatic. She ends up not going, I believe. Boom. Cut to another story. You got one. This one is after the race. The college now they tell you about sort of some of the family. Jimmy Doyle's family ended up rich with wool fabrics, this kind of thing. Upward merchandise situation. And then the Jimmy ends up grown kind of spoiled. Spends money, but his dad also kind of likes it because his dad worked to be rich, and rich should be rich, I guess. Again, I love that inner you learn about these people where he might say, be easy with the spending, but in his mind, the author tells you he's proud of it. These are things you could see, if you were perceptive. These are things you can see in person, right? Where you can see the family unit and you understand that the kid is sort of wild, but that the dad kind of likes that he's wild for whatever reason. The dad's living vicariously through the son, etc., etc. You get all of that, just real quick as the story moves on. He's just trying to fit in with rich people from Spain and France, this kind of thing. They have family dinners. His dad's real proud. That's it. All of these, every story is like this. A Little Cloud. A guy named Little Chandler. His best friend, what was his name? I wrote it down. Ignatius, which I thought was kind of a cool name. Ignatius is coming back, and he's real hyped because it was his boy, and he sort of looks up to him, and he went off to be a journalist in London, and our boy Little Chandler has all these thoughts about. It's not just, right? He wanted to be a poet, like the poet of Ireland or something, right? But that's what his brain does, right? He doesn't just think I should go be a writer. The narrator takes you through like the acceleration, right? The growth in his mind that, I could just put it in this one book and then the mayor would see it. And next thing I know, I'm the poet laureate of Ireland and I'm hanging out with the king and I stand up and I say these things about the green grass of my backyard, right? And he has all the dream gets grandiose in his head, but then in his life, none of it's happening. Again, very realistic. People have thoughts that wander off. A Painful Case. Mr. Duffy becomes friends with a lady. They go on walks. They talk. She then like ups it, right? Like, I think I like you. And of course he's like, nope. He just stiff arms that mess. Then 4 years later, actually what the story says, 4 years later, he sees that she died and then she was like an alcoholic. And this one, I'm like, I wonder if this one I'll remember the most. Because the way they describe it, he reads this over and over at dinner with his newspaper. Just doesn't even eat. Just reads it over and over. And they don't tell you what it says until he gets home and rereads it again. Then it finally tells you that his friend died and that she died an alcoholic. And then like his first reaction, because you could tell the pain of the loss is hitting him. You could tell. Otherwise, why would you read it a bunch of times and not eat your dinner? The pain hits him, and it's like too much. So his like first initial thought is revulsion. Like, how could I have ever been friends with someone who's so weak to be an alcoholic, right? And it threw me. It threw me when I was reading it because I'm like, that's harsh, bro. It's harsh to go at somebody, that you were friends with. Then you sort of understand he's lashing out, right? He's by himself, but he's lashing out. And then he starts to, because he's thinking nothing about anything else but this, and he starts to think like he's sort of the reason she ended up where she was, because he was her friend. They had these conversations, and that there was nowhere else for these conversations to be had. And then he drove her to loneliness. He drove her to the bottle, so to speak. He gets that sort of idea in his head. And I'm like, it comes at you fairly heavily and quickly. But I feel like in life that happens sometimes as well. You're just sort of moseying along, and then boom, right? The thing just lands in your lap, and then the waters are choppy, and you just navigate. That's what he's doing. He's just sort of navigating. But his friend is gone, and he has these sort of semi-guilty feelings about it. It that one hits you pretty good, especially again because by this time you're well in the mode of the slice of life. By mode, I mean you're reading, and a lot of times you're anticipating, right? Like you brace yourself for the thing that's coming because you know it's coming. I know ring wraiths are coming. I know we're going to the planet Arrakis, whatever it may be. But in a slice of life, you sort of settle back and realize nothing is going to happen. And so that part of your brain, you sort of set it down, right? And it sits you like you sit normally, right? In my life, nothing happens. My life is a slice of life. I'm just floating along like a hobbit. No adventures here, please. Thank you, right? So this is it. The energy of the book mimics my life. And then the waves start to lap over me. And then, of course, a big moment happens, and I take it like I would, right? I sort of sit up. It's like he slowly hypnotizes you into it. Very cool. A chapter, A Mother. This one's just kind of fun. What's her name? Mrs. Kearney wants to get her daughter Kathleen some hype there. A bit of honor. So they're going to have an Irish revival in town, and she wants her daughter to play accompanist piano in this. So every sort of talent comes up, I'll play the jam, and then the next talent comes up and I'll play whatever that is, because I'm good. My daughter's good at piano, and everyone will see her on stage, and it'll be this thing, right? That's what Miss Kearney is thinking. But that's not how it goes. Again, I love the realisticness of it. If you went to small town America, right? You pick a small town. They might host an event. And it's sort of laid back. It's sort of goofy, right? Where maybe someone's taking it more serious than everyone else, but everyone else is the one in charge. So he's letting random people come up, do weird stuff. It's not anything like anyone thought, right? But it's a small town, and everyone's like, nah, it's chill. Don't worry about it. Half the people came just to drink punch anyway, right? The whole event has that kind of energy. And so Miss Kearney is like, either to get her daughter out of it because it's a shambles, or on a point of pride. She's like, my daughter was expected to get a little bit of scratch here, and I'm not sending her up till she gets it. And she sort of plants her flag on that, and it all goes sideways. It's just a small town event where what do we say? The national spotlight. The national spotlight's on, like the Eye of Sauron, one thing at a time. But for everywhere else, it's just normal life. No one's looking when small town such and such in Kansas does some big jamboree. It's big for the town, big for the local politics of the town, but the national spotlight's not on it. and we can be very relaxed. But this is one of these places where, you know, some weird murder happens or some weird kid's kidnapped and it's a fake kidnapping. And then all of a sudden, the nation's bored that week and we just zone in on it. And then everyone spazzes out. You get the feeling that this is exactly that, right? But before the spotlight. There's nothing here. We end with what's the chapter called The Death. The death is Gabriel Conroy and his wife Greta go to a party. And then at the party, there's some memories brought up. And they're about her ex-boyfriend when she was young, just like a young. And you could tell like the inner monologue, he very much is attracted to his wife. You see the passion there. And then the moment these words come about this old boyfriend, he takes it insta sideways, just viciously sideways. He's mad. He's very mad, but she is in her mind thinking about this kid. She says when she was young, he loved her, but she wasn't going to be with him or whatever. Whatever the case was, she sort of pushed him aside. And at some point, he came to her window and was just like, doing the romantic throw rocks and stuff, but got caught in the rain, maybe got pneumonia and died. Right? So she sort of takes it like, I'm the reason he's dead. And the whole time she's sort of telling this story, she's on this track, and her husband's way over here just madly getting more and more mad, jealous of the memory of this kid. And then he starts to, viciously, right? Like, he's mad at this guy who's not alive, who's dead, just for the slot in his wife's mind that he holds. But then he's looking at her crying, and he's realizing, like, he doesn't think she would cry for him, right? That their love isn't equal. He in his head is rating the two. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, she's a different person. She's learned how to deal with these relationships. She's an adult now. She was young then. But it doesn't stop him from being jealous. And then from being sort of downhearted about not being equal to that love that, that's in her mind. And then that's how it sort of ends. Like I said, slice of life. And I say it ends. But in my mind, they're all still living their lives, right? I could listen to more. Hours and hours more. I could if you gave me 2-3 more books of these people, if any one of them, I would read it. I don't, and nothing happened. Nothing's going to happen in this. It's a slice of life. But you end up sucked into it somehow. And it's very fun. It sits in your head a really fun way. I recommend it if you're bored or if you're in between books. And I don't think you will be disappointed. All right. This is a short video for a short book. I'm going to go with my ads now. Okay, people. Thank you for tuning in. I say tuning in like it's old TV. Season 1. Books to read. Thank you for watching. These are my books. Is my book as good as this one? I don't know. They're different. I'd say mine has a better story. Mine's a better story than a story without a story, right? In any case, you can get them both with unlimited, so go with that route if you can't decide. I certainly wouldn't buy this book. I certainly won't read it again, but I also won't have to read it again. It's sort of seared in your head, a kind of a way. Okay. I will talk to you lovely lot next week.